You absolutely have to have clarity before you write a book. That's the same thing as having clarity before you build your business, right? It's any
Yep.
building a house. It's all the same thing. If you're not clear on what the whole purpose of it is, how on earth are you going to be able to actually complete it or scale it or finish it or whatever it is, right? It's really, I use another example where it's the tree and the roots, right? And all those other things are the branches, right? The
Mm-hmm.
offers, the content, the messaging, all of that other stuff are the branches. If you don't have a really solid tree trunk and root system, the tree's not going to survive.
Yeah.
And it's simple. I'm not going to say it's easy,
Yeah.
but it is simple in its context, right? Is you got to be clear. But that's one of the hardest things for people to execute, right? Because they want to jump over to the exciting stuff.
Welcome to the Coachability Code podcast. This is your host, Jordan Ring. Coaches, you ready to be coached? Let's go. Today I have Anna Ludwinowski. Am I saying it right, Anna?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have
perfect.
her on our show with us today, and we're going to be learning from her. It's going to be a fantastic time. So, Anna,
Okay.
your title, I believe, is Business Clarity Coach. Can you clarify what that means and just introduce yourself briefly before we get into the nitty-gritty
Absolutely.
of our
Yeah.
questions today?
I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome. Yes, I am, in fact, a business clarity coach. And I made that distinction because when I kind of first started, I really thought I would be helping businesses scale, that they're
Mm-hmm.
here, they really want to, go big. And then what happened, and it happened quite naturally, actually, when we started talking about that, I kind of realized that they didn't have a lot of those foundational things in place, right? Real clarity on who their ideal client was, what their messaging was, what their positioning in the marketplace was. And those are those base foundational things that you kind of need. And that's why they were really struggling with being able to scale. So then I kind of adjusted my sort of scope and went, you know what? I'm going to go back to the foundational stuff. Yeah, it's not sexy, it's kind of boring, but it's really pivotal, right? If you don't have a good foundation, how are you going to grow anything? And I use the example of a house, right? You got to build a solid basement, a foundation made out of cement so it's solid before you can start building the top part of your house, right? So
Yeah.
if the foundation isn't solid, the house isn't going to be solid, right? So that's kind of how it happened. I didn't set out to be a coach. I've been an entrepreneur for 33 years next week, which is crazy.
Amazing experience.
Crazy. But I guess I've always been kind of coaching. I've always worked with small and medium-sized businesses. And I just love that part. The fact that something that you kind of almost take as second nature can be
Yeah. Yeah.
really inspiring to somebody else that I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I was actually talking to a client probably about 3 years ago now, and I was helping her. She was a new business, and she didn't know this was in my packaging company, and she didn't know that I own that company. And she's like, you're really good at this coaching thing. You should try doing that. And I was like, yeah, I kind of already have a gig, but
Yeah.
thanks, right? But kind of always stuck in the back of my head. And I went, you know what? I kind of really like that part. So that's kind of ish how it all started to come together.
I mean, that is amazing, and I want to just say thank you again for being here today and talking with
Oh,
us
hey,
on this
thank you for
show.
inviting me.
Uh,
This
we'll
is
we'll
great.
we'll talk some icebreakers first. Not that we really need
Sure.
icebreakers, but the audience likes the icebreakers, so we'll do icebreakers a
Okay,
little bit. Okay, so
let's do it.
favorite book, favorite movie, and one weird thing about you that not everybody knows. It can be slight knowledge
Oh,
if you want.
oh my gosh. Okay. Favorite book, and I'm actually going to channel our friend. He said Charlotte's Web he is one of his. And I went, you know what? That's probably one of the first books that I was just so engrossed in, like it was, I love animals. I honestly, I think a dream would be to have like a farm with like every animal on it, like,
Yep.
or like a sanctuary, where unwanted animals come to live out their best lives or something. And so I loved in Charlotte's Web that these animals came together, but that there's this beautiful story and a bit of a sad story, but a beautiful story nonetheless. So I'm going to say that that was probably one of the most pivotal books that I remember just loving, obviously when I was younger. Okay,
That's cool.
favorite
I did
movie.
just add that to my Amazon cart as well on
Did
James
you?
Gibbons'
Oh,
recommendation. I read it as a kid, but he's like, "No, you
yeah.
need to read it as an adult." Okay,
You know what? That's actually a
I'll
really
take your
good
advice. I'll read it
idea.
again.
Yeah, because I mean, I probably the last time I read it would have been like in grade school, right?
Yep.
Okay, I might have to do that too. Okay, favorite movie. Like I'm like a movie buff, so it's really hard. But I'll tell you one of the most awesome movies that I ever watched was Gladiator.
Mm.
And then what I did, this was back in like DVD times, which I mean, for the younger folks, I mean, this is going back a little ways. Not even Blu-ray, but like real DVDs, right? Before that. And it came with the director's cut on it as well. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool because you literally watch the whole movie with the director kind of explaining every single scene and stuff. And that was the coolest thing ever. I just thought that was such a great movie. So yeah, still my favorite. And actually the second Gladiator was really good too. That actually was pretty awesome.
I need to see that. I haven't yet.
I wasn't sure because I love the first one so much, and usually those second ones are a total letdown. No,
That's why I've hesitated.
I highly recommend it. It was really
Okay.
good. Yeah. Weird thing about okay, there's so many things I could choose. I'm gonna go with the fact that I'm a chicken mom because that seems to fascinate a lot of people. Yes, I'm a dog mom. I've got two dogs. There's the black blob right there, and the corgis under my desk. But I'm a chicken mom. I've got 8 chickens in my backyard, and people don't think that chickens have personalities, and they do. They really do. So I love them.
Yep.
They're entertaining.
I
So
love that about you, and I'll share an ignorant moment of myself. I don't know if you remember this, but when I asked you if they were like in the house, I don't know anything about having chickens, so I just pictured it like a dog, like there'd be a chicken
totally
under your desk right now, but apparently that's not how
no,
it
I
goes.
would never have them in my house. They're the messiest. They have a
Okay,
really
okay.
big yard kind of at the back of my property. And I laugh because even in their chicken coop, it looks like a dorm, and they're just like mess everywhere. They're actually very messy.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm gonna bring a chicken. I gotta hold it so it doesn't go all over the place. I'm gonna bring a chicken on one of these one day.
That would be amazing. You would get instant virality. People would
I
love
think so,
it.
right? That's gonna be the key to going viral is bringing out the chicken.
I think it would be worth it for sure.
That's hilarious.
Well, you kind of already answered this next question, but like if you had to summarize like elevator pitch, kind of like if someone said, "Hey, Anna, what do you do?"
Believe it or not, that's something I've had to work on. I'm like, okay, as a clarity coach, I should be really clear about what it is I actually do,
I should
right?
know how to do this. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So basically how I've structured it is I help entrepreneurs, mostly solopreneurs, coaches, fractionals, those types of people position themselves. So that I help them find their ideal client, I help them solidify their messaging and really position themselves with their offers and their pricing so that they can grow their business. Those are really the three biggest pain points that so many solopreneurs have. They don't know who their ideal client is, they don't know how they help them, and they certainly don't know how to get that messaging
Yeah,
solidified so
yeah.
that it's clear. So I kind of went, okay, well, I'll take on the big three. Those are the three big pain points. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So
And
that's what.
I love that you talk about clarity because it's something that I work on a lot of times with my clients as well. Because the biggest thing
Yeah,
is getting clear on your book idea and doing an outline. And that is, as you already shared in the beginning, it's not the most sexy part of the
it's not.
job, but it
Not at all.
is essential or you're
Mhm.
gonna, you could potentially get lost. And I think that carries cross genres and cross modalities of
Yeah,
what are you really what are you really talking about, and what are your goals? What are you really working for? And then once you know that, then the other parts of the foundation can come into place and start building the house, as you said before. So for me, like
Yeah.
I always see the clarity part. And I'm like, yep, I love that, and it matters so much.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you
And
help people with that specifically because there's such a need there.
there is, and I think there's been so many times where I've read your posts and I kind of go, you know what? We're basically talking about the same thing, right? You absolutely have to have clarity before you write a book. That's the same thing as having clarity before you build your business, right? It's any
Yep.
building a house. It's all the same thing. If you're not clear on what the whole purpose of it is, how on earth are you going to be able to actually complete it or scale it or finish it or whatever it is, right? It's really, I use another example where it's the tree and the roots, right? And all those other things are the branches, right? The
Mm-hmm.
offers, the content, the messaging, all of that other stuff are the branches. If you don't have a really solid tree trunk and root system, the tree's not going to survive.
Yeah.
And it's simple. I'm not going to say it's easy,
Yeah.
but it is simple in its context, right? Is you got to be clear. But that's one of the hardest things for people to execute, right? Because they want to jump over to the exciting stuff. Ooh, I want to do the marketing, or I want to talk about my published book. And you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
but there's this whole piece in the middle that would be a lot easier if you had that clarity at the beginning, right?
Yeah. Or what I've had before, someone coming to me talking about their third and fourth book, and I'm like, hold up, put the brakes. Have you written your first one yet? Like, where is that one? And okay, yeah, we're a
Wow.
little bit
Okay,
ahead of the game. So,
yeah, that's a
um,
little ahead.
yeah, it's one thing to, yeah, be futuristic and make the plans. I love that. I'm all about
No,
that. But yeah,
yeah,
make sure there's the clarity piece there first. Yeah.
absolutely, for sure.
All right, Anna. So who would you say, like, and you don't have to name names. It's not like pulling people up, pushing people down, but like, who's your best student you've had in your coaching role, and why? What made them the best? What made them the most? What made them get the most impact from what you had to offer?
Oh my goodness. I mean, obviously I've had a lot of really great clients that I've worked with. Some you kind of click better with than others. I'm actually going to pick two, which happen to both be women for some, and that's just coincidence, I think.
You work with women and men generally.
And both. Yeah, I
Okay.
do work with men and women for sure. But both of these clients came to me at such a low point and
Mm,
such a level of frustration. It was literally, I'm ready to give up,
mm,
and they had a business. They both had very solid, had been around for a number of years. So this wasn't like somebody that was new starting out. But they came at such a level of frustration and just ready to pack it in. I don't know what I can't do anymore. And to
mm-hmm,
go from that level, one of those clients literally cried on our first
mm,
conversation, which I was like, ooh, okay, I've never experienced that, but that really spoke to me like, this is bad. Like, this
yeah,
person
yeah,
is at their lowest point. And to take that and 6 weeks later, because that's the program that I currently do with them is 6 weeks, for them to be like a 180, a completely different person that is so confident and so excited and looking forward to this next step. I don't know about you, but like to take someone through that process lights me up. I can't even almost put it into words.
yeah. I mean, for me, I totally agree. There's so much that like, okay, there's hundreds of thousands of coaches out there, but getting that special moment is the reason most of us do it, right? Like we
Absolutely.
do it so that we can help people, and sometimes it's just by listening, right? It's like just by being that
Oh,
presence. Of course, we have knowledge that we can share,
yeah.
but it's like
Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe that they were on the phone with you for 10 minutes, or maybe it was right away and they started crying and it was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's some need here." And I'm glad that
There,
that person felt
yeah.
like that they could trust you. Because
Yeah, I,
that's
I mean, I
big.
think that's a compliment, right? Like
Yeah.
I took it as a compliment that somebody would feel that comfortable that they could share that kind of level of vulnerability with you. But I really think when we say that we're coaches, that's a big chunk of it. But I also think there's a portion of it that is a mentor. And those are kind of two different things, but they do go together. Because as a mentor, it maybe I just need to listen and having being that safe space that somebody can come to and share their vulnerabilities and their frustrations and stuff like that, know that they're not going to be judged, but that they're going to be supported. That's pretty
Yeah.
important, isn't it?
I imagine that's a big part of coaching in general that maybe
Yes,
has come naturally
definitely.
to you, or maybe you've had to work on. I'm curious about that. Then I'll ask the other part of that question. But has that part come naturally to you to be that support?
I'm gonna say yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. But
yeah, there's always a but. Yes, I think I am naturally supportive, but I think one of the things that I've had to really work on is that rush to help.
mm,
Right. And a friend of mine identifies herself as aggressively helpful. And
yeah.
it's like, I may need to borrow that because I
Yeah.
think there is a component, and I've talked to other coaches and we kind of share that similar trait. Yes, in our quest to help people, sometimes we do go over into that aggressively helpful category when we really need to kind of pull back a little bit and be like, okay, I'm going to let you tell me first where
hmm
you're at and share your thing before we take it to the next step. So, yes, I have, but I also think I've had to work on that part, to be totally honest.
I feel like that's natural because I mean I've definitely had to work on various aspects of that. I can be a very empathetic. I am a very empathetic person, but
Yes,
sometimes I lack a
absolutely
little
you
bit of
are.
sympathy. I've had to work on that as a coach
Okay,
because in my
okay,
mind I
yeah.
say, okay, where's your accountability? What work have you done?
Mm.
Sometimes I jump to that right away. So I feel the
Oh,
empathy,
yeah.
have very little sympathy when I feel like they're the ones that aren't
Oh,
making the progress, and I'm sometimes can be quick to put the blame there instead of, okay, let me step back as a coach. Like it's still my
okay,
job to
yeah.
like take a step back and like see what I can do to help them. That's been a big
Yeah.
one for me that I've had to learn. So,
You know what? I would agree with that as well, because don't forget we're those how many steps ahead of them.
hmm
And so the tendency could be, oh, well, I've done that part. Come on, you can do
yeah,
this part.
let's go.
It's a
Yeah, yeah,
right. I mean, it's encouraging, but at the same time, maybe a little like a little too much. Like that you're kind of like, well, you can do this. And that same with that accountability aspect, right? So yeah, I think we're all kind of works in progress, aren't we?
yeah. And I'll preface this next question because I want it to be clear. I'm going to practice the clarity. Part of
Okay.
this podcast for me is figuring out what we can do as coaches. And we were already kind of talking about that just in the last question. Like, what can we
Yeah.
do as coaches to help the people that are difficult, right? Like sometimes we get frustrating clients and we're like, oh, like just do this and like
Yeah.
you would have some progress or something like that. So
Yeah.
curious, like name a situation or sometime you got frustrated. Maybe it was like you'd say, okay, this maybe they're not your worst student ever. Maybe they're not a terrible. Obviously, they're not a terrible person at all. That's not what this
No.
question is about. But what about it made it frustrating? And then what did you think
Right.
afterward? Like, okay, maybe I could have helped, or maybe you just can't help certain people too. Like I wonder that.
Oh,
So
yeah, I do think there are some people that maybe come to you thinking that they're ready, but deep inside they're really not ready
mm,
to receive coaching. And that's fine. I've definitely had a couple of those over the years where I kind of went, you know what, maybe this isn't the right time yet. I've also talked people out of coaching because I really went or talked them out of what they're about to do. One lady comes to mind that wanted to open a bakery because she used to bake stuff for friends and
hmm
family at home. Yeah, that was not going to be good for her. She wasn't in the entrepreneurship wasn't right for her, and I actually talked her out of it. Which at the moment she was a little confused, but then she came back and went, you know what?
yeah,
You just saved me a lot of heartache and pain. So it worked out really well. One of the biggest things I've had to learn is that obviously each one of us is an individual and each one of us
hmm
has our own timeline. And that is something that as a coach, you have to really understand. Now, some people will whip through 6 weeks with me and you're just like, yeah, we're hitting, oh, wow, look at that. We're getting all the homework done.
yeah,
Everything's great. And then a client that I've been working with since the beginning of the year, she has a very different timeline. You never know what's going on in their personal lives with themselves, other extenuating circumstances, and trying to cram that person into my timeline isn't going to be successful, right? So it's being able to understand and read them so it doesn't make them a bad client or a difficult client, but you have to be able to adjust yourself to their timeline. And that's probably been one of the most challenging aspects that I've personally noticed. It's actually happened a few times, and it's prompted me to look at that from my business point of view and say, 6 weeks might not be the ideal for
Hmm.
everybody. And so now I'm in the process of developing a 3-month framework so that you've got an accelerator for people who want to be quicker, and then you've got people who have to take their time for a variety of reasons, and that'll still work for them. So I've taken that feedback and kind of adjusted my own business to make that work for them. Did that answer your question?
No, totally. I think it gets at an even deeper concept as
Okay.
well. Just the concept of we can get so tied to our process
Oh,
that
yeah.
this process of writing a book works for me. So therefore, it's going to work for all my clients. And it does not. I know now, and I
No,
will talk to people about
no.
this, every single client I've had needs a different process to finish their book, even if I am ghostwriting for them, because each
Ah,
person will be more or less comfortable with interview questions. They'll want to think about it and then come back to me. There's just so many different ways that people think and process ideas that I think it's so difficult to nail it down to this is my process and you have to follow it. Now, that can
mhm.
be true for some people if they don't want to be as involved, but my process is very collaborative. I want people involved.
Yeah.
So, but
Okay.
I've had to kind of step back and say, okay, am I being am I getting too attached to my process and not treating people like as individuals? And like you
Yeah.
said, like the time frame things, like
Yeah.
that's so valid a point to think about as a
Yeah.
coach. Like I'm going to teach you how to do this by the end of the week or whatever it is. And that's possible for some people, but it will not be
Yeah.
possible for everyone to stick to your process. But yeah.
And I like how you're saying that too. Your process, right? And so again, because we're steps ahead
Mm-hmm.
of the person that we're coaching, we're able to do it in that process, in that timeline, and follow that process, right? But they're not. They're steps behind. And so now you've got this greater distance, right? So I think we can call it shortening that distance and bringing us closer to our client by trying to find a common ground in the process or the timeline or framework or whatever it is, right? So yeah, I think those are really valid points. Is yes, and so that's why I don't really call my thing a program. It's not a program.
Mm-hmm.
It's a framework. And these are the pieces in the framework that we all have to we go through because that's what gets us to the next level. But how we do each of those pieces in framework pieces, it will vary depending on the person. So I've kind of had to adjust it a little bit, right? So yes, we always talk about ICP, but how I'm going to talk to somebody who's never developed their ICP properly is going to be very different than how I talk with somebody who's reevaluating or already has an ICP, but they're trying to maybe niche it a bit more or something like that. So again, those timelines are going to stretch and change, right?
Yeah.
We,
No, I
we
think
can't be too rigid. We can't be rigid. There's the final summation of all this. You can't be rigid when you're a coach.
no, I'm 100%. You can't be rigid. I agree. I mean, I think that's exactly what we're saying. You summed it up in a very uh,
There you go.
clarified way.
Clarity.
I love
There you
it.
go.
Yeah. Okay, Anna. Someone graduates your coaching not program. That's the question.
Framework.
Your coaching framework. I'll adjust. What qualities do they possess that they were able like they were the person that took your stuff, they took the ball and ran with it. Like what qualities do you say they
Um,
possess?
Honestly, by the time we get to the end of our 6 weeks together, I would say the biggest quality that I've noticed, and I can I'm going to say pretty much across the board with every client that I've worked with, is this newfound confidence in themselves.
Mm.
And I know we talk, oh, confidence, confidence. It's a real thing because 9 times out of 10, when we start at the beginning of that 6 weeks, they don't have confidence. They're frustrated. They're just like, what am I doing wrong? Well, you're not doing anything wrong. We
Yeah,
just
yeah.
need to go through this process so that you kind of give yourself that confidence. And so it's like giving them the tools that they need to build that foundation. And if you don't have the tools, you're kind of like, oh, what do I use? And you're confused. It's hard to really a get clarity on it.
Hmm.
So giving them the tools and the instructions on how to do that gives them that confidence to go forward. I would absolutely say confidence for sure.
I think that that makes so much sense. To me, confidence just breathes life into so many different areas of just business in general for me. It makes me
Absolutely.
think of, I think one of the biggest areas confidence is super valuable just in business is just talking about what you do, right? Like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
But if you have the
Yeah.
clarity, you have the confidence because then you're like, this is what
Yeah.
I do. I'm not doubting myself. Like, someone says, Jordan, what do you do? I write books. That's what I do. And then we have a
Yeah.
conversation instead of
Yeah.
like, oh, I hate when people ask me that question because I don't know what to say. And then but you don't have that confidence because you don't have the clarity because you're not really sure what to say in those situations. So I think there's,
Yeah.
the confidence is definitely key.
When you ask someone that question and they launch into a TED Talk explaining every single thing,
Hmm.
then you know that they don't have the confidence in themselves. It's not a judgment, it's just a fact. They don't
Yep.
have that understanding of what it is specifically that they have. When you say, I write books, that's pretty confident. That's a fact, right? That's can't even argue with that. But when you start having to explain and go into this huge long TED talk about it, then yeah, you're not clear. It's pretty
Yep.
obvious.
Yeah. And that's something I've never thought about that specifically before, but that's a great point because it's like, oh, I didn't ask you for all the details. I was just
Explanation,
asking. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is actually a really great exercise that I've done a few times now with different groups of people is explain what you do in 5 words or less.
Hmm.
And people usually go like, 5 words? There's no way I can do 5 words. I need like 5 sentences or paragraphs or something.
Hmm.
You should be able to do it in 5 words because at that point, it's succinct, it's totally clear, and it invites conversation. So you're not explaining everything you do. Because when you launch into that TED Talk explaining everything that you do, you've lost them like 10 minutes ago. Right? But when you can
Yeah.
say what you do in 5 words or less, that invites curiosity. And they go, hey, wait a sec, tell me more about this. And now it becomes a conversation and not a sales pitch.
Yeah, if one of your things is to invite conversation, if that was one of your goals, then that's a great thing for a coach to do because it's not about like, again, if we think about it, it's not about just about the program and the process, it's about what the person needs. And if you can learn to lead with that clarity and invite some conversation, then
Oh,
you're listening to your student about what they need. I mean, when I do paddle lessons and I play
yeah.
paddle, basically it's a sport mixed between squash and tennis. No one in the US knows what it is, and that's fine.
But it's
Um,
coming. It's
it's
coming. It's
coming,
gaining in popularity.
and I'm obsessed with it, but I still have a lot to learn with it. But I'm even with that, when I have lessons, I'm surprised sometimes when the coach says, "Okay, Jordan, like, what do you need to work on?" I'm like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that question," which is like I should be, but like not every coach will ask that, right? Like not every
Yeah.
coach will think like, "Okay, I'm teaching this person. What do they need to know?" It's
Yeah.
very easy to get in like, well, we're just going to hit some balls. You can just repeat this. And like, that's the easier way to coach. But like, the easier way is not. The easier
Yeah.
way is never the best way. I'll just come right out and say it. Like,
No. And I could even add to that, that's sort of surface level, isn't it?
yeah,
Right? It's very surface. I mean, some people do that, and if that's their chosen method, then that's cool, whatever. But I think, and I think you as well, where you want to kind of go deeper into it, right?
yeah,
We're human beings at the end of the day. We're not just a business owner or an author or whatever. We're human beings, and you can't help but have that infused into your business, your book. whatever it is you're doing.
Hmm.
And so I do think we have to dig a little bit deeper and get into the nitty gritty of it to see what's there.
No, I totally agree with that. My next question, I think coaches will be very interested in this one. Curious
Ooh,
from your perspective, what is your most successful strategy for growing your coaching business?
my coaching business.
Yeah.
Oh my.
If you want to give it away. If you don't, that's fine.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Is there some deep dark secret? No, I don't think there is. Honestly, it's okay. Well, it's two things, but the two things are kind of connected
Hmm.
together. And it's something I didn't do in my earlier years as a business owner enough. And that's okay. Now I know better, is actually networking and talking to people. And yes, those
Hmm.
two things go hand in hand. But I don't think I really understood the power of it back in my earlier entrepreneur days. Whereas now I can absolutely see the value in it. And it doesn't necessarily mean when we say networking, and I'm talking about the new style of networking, not the old school where you're like shoving business cards in people's faces
Hmm.
and saying,
Hmm.
buy my stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about developing relationships, truly growing connections on a human level. These aren't necessarily people that are going to buy my stuff, and
Hmm.
that's fine. That's not it. Is you're growing your network, you're just talking to people, you're learning from them just as much as they're learning from you. And I would say that if that's my secret growth strategy, then that's literally all it is actually talking to people, not pitching them, not selling them your services, but talking to them, investing in them. And you just never know what opportunities that's going to lead. I have a wonderful saying that I ask myself every morning when I sit down here at my computer. I'll be like, what's the opportunity today? Just be open to the opportunity. And I'm not saying every opportunity is going to be phenomenal. Wouldn't that be
Hmm.
great? But if you're open to the opportunity, some pretty amazing things happen. Collaborations, leads, clients, referrals, introductions. It could be anything, right? Just be open to the opportunity.
No, I love that because for me, like it totally makes sense because like I would say my thing is just do something, right? Like if it was going to be simple, like just start something, do something, and
Mhm.
that's write a book, do a podcast, like
Yeah,
really, and all of that to say, like just start talking to people. Because what I always
yeah,
tell people with books and whatever else they're creating, it's like, okay, but have you talked about this in real life? And that used to be a big struggle for me. I want to work in isolation. I want to sit back as a writer. I want to just like think through things. And that's all good and fine. But like
yeah,
talking to people out in the real world, making those connections, like you're going to
yeah.
find out really quick. As soon as you say your book idea, okay, that's not something I want to write. You're not going to realize that until you just start. So I think it's so valuable to start something
Just
and
start
just
talking
yeah.
to them because honestly, probably some of my best opportunities, and I mean, whether it was content, some of my best posts come from talking to people, whether it's in the comment section, whether it's, in calls or meetings
Hmm.
in real life, whatever it is, your content, your offers, opportunities that you hadn't really considered. You're like, oh, I never thought about collaborating on a podcast idea. That's a great idea. It all come we don't all know everything, right? Like we don't. And when you can tap into someone else's zone of genius, that only helps you and them. It's kind of like a win-win for both of you. So I my goal, I've talked to as many people as I possibly can. I was keeping track of how many virtual coffees I've had, and I haven't added up including this year, but in the last 6 months of 2024, I had broken 300 virtual
Wow.
coffees. Like, okay, that's like it's a lot. And there were some days I'm like, okay, that might have been too many in one
Yeah.
day, you know?
You're like,
But
oops.
but yeah, right? Like a good idea on paper, not so much in execution, but all that to say, just it's amazing what you learn. I probably learned more in this last year than I have in probably the 10 years before this. Like it's been incredible. Really
Yeah,
cool.
and it's so valuable because like as soon as I got out of my little shell of being a ghostwriter, I realized, okay, there's other people that do this, and I just learned so much from them like immediately. and
Yeah,
everything that I
yeah,
did was upgraded. And it wasn't just like upgraded for Jordan's benefit, right? Upgraded for
yeah,
everyone that's going to work with me in the future. Like everything I have to offer is
absolutely.
better because
Yeah,
I've had these conversations and because I'm not
so
in
true.
isolation. So I think, especially for coaches too, like don't coach in isolation. Don't feel like you have to have all the answers right away.
No,
Talk to
because you're
people
not.
about your issues.
Yeah,
And
I
yeah.
love that you how you said that. It makes you a better coach for the next person, right?
Hmm.
Like it really is improving you. And I love that you actually made that a goal for yourself this year. I remember you mentioning, you know what? My goal is to get out there and talk to more people. And
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, that's actually a really good goal, you know? And it only benefits you. There's no downside to it. Yeah, there's some time investment, right? That's fine. You got to carve out the time, but
Yeah.
there's no downside to it. There's only benefit. So why not?
Yeah, because we know it's not just about getting a transaction dollars. Like we don't build our following and network on LinkedIn just so that most people we talk to will give us money. That's never going to happen. Like 1% of the 1% of people in our following are going to pay something to us. And that's
Exactly.
like, and but that's great and that's fine. I think that's a good, not maybe not good, but that's a shift some people need to make. It's like not everyone that you connect with on LinkedIn is going to need to be
No.
slapped with a pitch. Like that's you got to
No,
know
gosh.
like
And I think you have to check that. You have to check that at the door because if you
yeah.
go into those conversations with that in mind, those aren't going to be good conversations. They're not. Because if you're going in with the sole premise that I'm going to sell you my services, that's going to come through in the you're not going to be curious about that person. You're not going to engage with that person because all you have in your mind is I'm going to sell you. But if you go in with an openness of I want to get to know you, and if I can help you, maybe I know someone who can help you. Maybe it's not even me that can help you, but it's somebody in my network, in my circle that I can introduce you to that's going to help you. That's pretty awesome, right? Like that's empowering too. I, you know,
Yeah, that it
so
doesn't need to be complicated. Like even
oh,
okay, you can be the best salesperson in the world, but you can have a great discovery call. Like I've had people where I've sold the lead. Like I've converted the lead and I got
okay,
out of that call thinking I didn't even share my process at all. And I was like, man, I should have done that. And then the lead that person not lead, the person says like I want
yeah.
to work with you. And I'm like, wow, all I did was listen. Like I did nothing but listen and like they just shared their ideas. Like that's
Because you
great.
went
And
in
like,
with an
yeah.
open to the opportunity, right? and
Yes,
and you
exactly.
weren't going in there with this preconceived notion is I'm gonna sell you, like that's just gross, right? That's not, I don't know, obviously everybody's got a different philosophy, right? And I think that's what's
Hmm.
great. We all have our thing. I think it just, you can't listen to what every guru tells you that that's the only way to be. This is what works for me, this is what works for you, and that's fine.
Yeah, and so we're coming up close to the end of this
Oh
podcast, but
my
thanks so much for
gosh,
being on. But I'm gonna throw like a left field question at you, and then you can let's just
do
see what you
it,
think.
bring it.
What is something that makes Anna stand up on her soapbox and say, I have to share this with coaches, I
Oh,
have to share this with the world, like this is what people need to know.
oh, bring me a soapbox. I'll stand
Okay,
on
you
it.
got it. Here you go.
Oh man, okay, my recent rant is it is the hill that I will die on. I do not believe in discounting yourself.
Hmm.
And it speaks to the bigger issue of we cannot undervalue ourselves. And that's a really big chunk. It's actually the number two reason clients that I work with. Number one is anything to do with their ideal client. Number two is with pricing themselves.
Hmm.
That is a big stumbling block. And if I could just tell everybody, please do not undervalue yourself. And that does come with a little asterisk after that. I do not, under any circumstances, advocate for jacking up your prices and
Hmm.
ripping people off or anything of that nature. That is not what I'm advocating at all. What I am saying is always value yourself. It literally, and I've done it. I've reached out to people in DMs and it's like, I noticed in your post today you've discounted your offer by 50%.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's a bad idea. I mean, I
Yeah.
obviously say it in a nice way, but
Yeah, of course.
because I don't I you should never discount yourself. Never, never discount. Everything that you bring to that offer has value. Your experiences, your training, your the certifications, whatever it is, your lived experience, it brings value. And so I say, please don't ever discount it. If anything, add more value to it. So, and I know summertime, and this is why I've been kind of talking about it. Summertime is that time where people are like, oh, it's slow. I'm going to put everything on fire sale just to get some sales in, right? It diminishes your value. It also makes you look very different in that client's eyes, right? They don't put value on you because you didn't do it to yourself. A better way to go about it is, okay, my regular offer is this. Instead of discounting it, I'm going to add to it to make
Hmm.
it a bonus because that's adding value to it. So instead of, okay, work with me for 6 weeks, this is my regular offer. Summertime bonuses, you know what? Sign up now and I'm going to throw in 2 extra weeks or something, whatever it is. I'm just making something up. But it's adding value, it's not taking away from it. And it kind of goes to the same thing where people say, oh, I'm new, I'm starting out, I'm gonna be cheaper. I'm like, yeah, but then what you're really doing is training your audience to have you at that price point. So when time comes and you've gotten more experience and you start raising your prices, now you're just confusing your client base. And they're like, well, I thought you were this price and now you're this price, and
Hmm.
it becomes very confusing, right? So it, I know it's like a long answer.
No, it's a soapbox. You're more than welcome to stand on as long as you want.
But I think that one really bothers me a lot
Yeah.
because you've put so much of your life into into those experiences that you're sharing now as a professional. Don't ever discount it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I've done it and it's never
Oh, we've
paid
all
off.
done it. We've all
Yeah.
done it.
It's like it's the age-old question of like I'm starting out, that's how I have to get people. Because if we go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, you don't have clarity in what you offer and you don't have confidence because you haven't built
Mhm.
that. So
Exactly.
difficult for, anyone starting out. But yeah, I'm
Yep.
with you. It's don't discount because I have had people in the past giving me such a low price for certain things, let's just say certain specific things with books
Hmm.
that you need, like design work, formatting, editing, all this. I've had people give me such low offers that I was like, I don't want to work with you because you charge too low.
And isn't that interesting? Because it made you think, what's wrong with this?
Yeah.
Like, that's the default. Wait a minute. That price seems too good to be true. What's wrong with it? Are you too new? Oh, maybe I don't want you because you don't have the confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what that's doing. That's exactly what that's
And
doing.
then I you go with like the ones where I got the price, got the quote, and I was like, ooh, that's more than I thought. Okay, I'm gonna take a step back. But then what do I come back to?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Honestly, I came back to the one that was the highest because I said that one is what I want. I want that value.
Yeah.
And like we don't need to feel like we need to push that. This is me talking, but I don't feel like I need to push that. This is my value, right? This is what I
Yeah.
offer. And if you don't appreciate that value, it's like nothing against you. Like I don't hate you for that,
No.
obviously, but like
No.
I'm not going to drop it down because yeah.
Then you're not for them. And that's fine. Right? Like that's really all that's saying. You're not going to drop it down to meet them where they're at because that's not right either. They're not the person for you. But there is a person for them out there. It's just not you.
Yeah.
If I can just quickly share a story, one of my favorite examples is the Walmart versus Chanel example that I've used numerous times now. Walmart has a very specific client base. They know exactly who their ideal client is. They've positioned themselves properly
Hmm.
in the marketplace. And as has Chanel, they have a very different business model. They know exactly who their ideal client is and what they what the value is that they bring, and never the two shall meet. Now, if you walked into a Chanel boutique and saw shampoos and discounted stuff, you'd be like, what? What's happening here, right? Same thing if you walked into a Walmart and saw a Chanel display, you'd be like, wait a second, is that fake? Like something's not adding up, right? Because they've clearly delineated who they serve, and they know their lane and they stay in that lane. So the Walmart shopper isn't the Chanel shopper, and that's okay. Chanel's not going to drop their prices so that all the Walmart people can come over. No, that's not what they do. They stay in their lane. They're not for everybody, and that's okay.
And that's how you provide the ultimate value, right? Like I've considered that with my packages. Like if I charge this amount, that means I can XYZ. It means I can read 10 books that are competitive titles and not just like scan them, but actually read them. Like it gives me that, not that it's just like them paying for my time, but it gives them that value of like, this is what it takes to create a good book, or this is what it takes to gain clarity in your business. It's the trust in that, right? Like them having the trust in you, but you're not going to get that trust if you're the cheapest out there. You're just not.
No, no. And yeah, again, we all have our position in the marketplace, and that's
Hmm.
fine. But the general comment on the lowest price, right? Who do you get? It's the quality of that client as well. That's your tire kickers. Those are
Hmm.
generally the people who are going to scope creep on you, who are going to ask for the world for everything for nothing, right? And that was one of
Yeah.
the biggest challenges that client, one of the best clients that I was telling you about earlier. She was so frustrated because she had discounted herself. She had never raised her prices from when she started, which was crazy, but she
Yeah.
had never raised her prices, and that's exactly the kind of client that she was attracting, is the ones that demanded all of her time. And
Hmm.
she was like, I'm working like 80 hours a week and I'm making zero. And she
Yeah.
was heading for burnout. She was
Yeah.
literally heading for burnout.
Yep.
And it was like, well, but there you go. So now you're serving all these discounted people and you're burning out. Well, what's going to be left? Are you going to be able to serve people, the next batch of people, to the best of your ability? You're not. Right. So
Yep.
there's, I mean, we could go on for a while on that one. There's a lot of
Yep. Yep.
nuance, but it's really important, and it has nothing to do with trying to rip people off or jack up your prices just for the heck of it, right?
Yeah.
There is more to it than that for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Anna. To finish us out,
I think
I'm
we're
gonna
done,
throw your
right?
question back at you. Describe
I'm
what you
sorry.
do in just 5 words. Oh, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
describe what you do in 5 words, and then
Okay.
tell the listeners where they can find you, or
Absolutely.
find you, engage you, interact with you, wherever you'd like to send people.
Okay, for sure. I'll do that perfect. Is LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn, so absolutely. Anna Ludwinowski on LinkedIn is definitely the best place to find me. I help entrepreneurs. Oh, it's going to be 6 words with business clarity.
Put a hyphen, business clarity. It
Okay,
doesn't work
business clarity.
grammatically, but it's
Help
fine.
entrepreneurs with business clarity.
Yeah,
Oh, with business clarity. There we go.
there you go. Perfect.
Awesome.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on. I mean,
Oh, this
to
was
me, that's
great.
the conversation, exact kind of conversation I want to have with the show. So thank you for your time. Super appreciate it.
Oh, this was awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Are you still here listening to this podcast? You're awesome. I got two CTAs for you. Number one, subscribe to this podcast for more. And number two, have you ever thought about writing a book? Contact Jordan. He can help you out. Jordan at jmring.com.